move that out of the way a little bit, and so mouth is not talking directly into the mic. Hopefully the audio is okay. How you doing? 462904. Welcome to the show. We're on time this evening anyway. How you doing, Mascara? Welcome. So we'll let a few people join if they're going to join, and before motoring on with tonight's schedule. So do have a good few bits and pieces to cover tonight. So no shortage of entertainment anyway. How you doing, Rick Eliza? Welcome. Thanks for joining in. And Gastar Bum, welcome. Hello. So yeah, I'll just give people a few minutes to join in, and as you can see, I'm kind of on my own tonight. How you, JJ? But I'm here. I've got my trusty friend, well, my Siggy's with me, and I've got a beer here, so I'm not alone. You know, not totally alone anyway. So, how you, Kendo? Hey, you, Paula. Good God, I nearly missed Paula there. Hi, how you doing, kiddo? You well? Hope you're in good form and life is being good to you. So anyway, we have no Jay tonight, basically. So I did get a message from him earlier on. He's a little under the weather, so I didn't ask too many questions, and that's that's how I deal with life. You know, it's just I don't like if people are going to tell me something, they'll tell me something. So I didn't ask what was up or anything like that. It's just a little low on energy at the moment, so I just left it at that, like, you know. So, but we'll go ahead with the show anyway. Onwards and upwards. So, how you doing, Tony? So, I hope you've been all having a good week. Mine was a bit weird, fucking weird week. I mean, no, it wouldn't be weird only for the fact that I do have to go out and deal with normal people for a few days a week, like, and that's usually sort of like I mean, not everybody's a bit weird, like, you know, but I've come to the conclusion most of them are fucking not well in the head, to be honest. And I mean, I was at work there the other day, and this this owl lad, we call him the owl lads, right? This owl fella, he always stops. He always stops for a chat anyway, and he's a cunt to talk. I swear to God, we're over the 10-second limit, so it's safe enough to fucking let a few F's and blinds out of me. So, and even though the channel is not up to, it's not monetized, we shall sort of like, it's good practice just to be in the routine and not cursing in the first 10 seconds. So anyway, this owl lad, he pulls up as usual, and he opens the conversation anyway, and he starts talking about some flapping mouthed politician and such, and I says, and I looked at him. I says, "What the fuck you listening to that shite for? You know, would you not turn that bullshit off? You know, haven't you learned yet? Just fucking, you can't listen to any. They'll only fucking get you fucking depressed. You know." And then I proceeded on my rant with him, like, and I just, what did I say to him? It's just like, you know, you want to talk about what about the fucking excess death? I said to him, who's talking about that? Is anybody ever going to take a look at that? You know, and we've got 3 times as many people dying as we ever did during the coup, right? And it says, who's going to talk about it? And then I continued on my rant, then going on about the about what we believe the connections are and the bloody wacky, you know, and this, that, and the other, and and nobody wants to talk about it, right? And the poor fucking old man, he was going white in the face, and he was going white in the face, and he was looking for some way out of the conversation. And eventually, after eventually after a minute or two, he sort of like reoriented himself, and he said, he says, right, we're going to start talking shit. Hold on. This fucking bastard of a cat wants to go out now. Every fucking time I try to fucking have a conversation online, this cunt is there. How you doing, please? I'm going to let the cunt out back in a moment. Get out! Who are you? Come on. Come on. Come on, out. Oh, Jesus Christ, that fucking cunt. I'll tell you what, fucking animals, man. The only reason I keep him is because there's a famine coming, and he looks like he might be able to put a bit of meat on him, He might make a good roast at some stage, but let's see. Perceptive cat. Yeah, but yeah, where was I? Where was it? This old cunt, man. He started talking shite, and he said, I was just there thinking, all right, we're just going to talk about the usual shite. So he started telling me a story he told me before about a job he done 30 years ago, and it was down the road there, and such a owned the house, and we had this to do, and we had that to do, and I had such and such a fella working for me, and we got paid X amount of money for it, and it took us 5 days to do the job. We were in and out, and we were very happy. And it says, how fucking fascinating. I was thinking to myself, fascinating. Amazing stuff, man. Amazing stuff. Um, Look, I'll tell you what, I'm all for get these cunts jabbed up and boosted, get them boosted. Fuck it, man. This is what we have to fucking deal with. Cats are so. How you doing, Naz? Yeah, cats are cunts, man. It's always when you start to try and have a conversation. I'll give him about fucking 5 minutes because he's not been fed yet. Give him 5 minutes and be fucking crawling to get back in. It's like fucking nutcases, man. It's a boot up the fucking hole they want. Hey, you, James Stone. Welcome. Cats have Asperger's. I don't know what they have, but one thing they do fucking need is a fucking kick. Anyway, I'm a bit rough though. I'm not like that. I'm not like that, but I come over like that though. I do come over like that. It's just, I do. I do have conversations with the cats sometimes, and I'll get up and I'll huff and I'll puff and they'll be there sitting with big worried heads on them looking around. Oh shit, which way am I going? Run for it! It's like, quick, get out of here! She's on one. But anyway, that's just the way I go on. I just do it to provoke a reaction in them most of the time, and I love to jump around. Oh, I'm going to kill you. I'll fucking kill you. And the big worried heads on them, and just like, I had to get a right out laugh out of it. And the other times, like, they'll be walking down smartly past the fucking seat here, and next thing you know, I shuffle my feet really fast like that, and they'll leap about a mile into the air, right? I love that trick, and they never fucking, they do it every fucking time. It's like, there's nothing funnier than seeing a cat leap a mile in the air over nothing, a little foot shuffle or something like that. It just be gas. I love it, man. Taking the piss out of the cunts. No, James, I haven't started on Nicola just yet. And to be honest, she's irrelevant, really. Nicola Sturgeon, fucking paid crisis actors, and that's all they fucking are, man. It's like, okay, it'd just be interesting to have a quick word to say about them. What I did find interesting about Sturgeon was that, like, it was the British government who brought her down. The Scottish overlords, or Scotland's overlords. It was them that toppled her in the end, and so. Sometimes I look at what's going on in the world and I just think, what the fuck's going on? Whose side is who on? 1 minute you think fucking England's going full on communist, the next thing you know, they're booting Sturgeon out for her aggressive policies on fucking mentally ill people with fucking. I don't know. I don't even have a word for these fucking transgender. I hate using transgenders because, to be honest, like, they're just sick individuals. To be honest, man, it's help they need more than anything else. And I'm talking about put them out of their fucking misery. Oh, Kendo, I remember you saying your cat had a feline hyperesthesia. Yeah, that's a problem that your cats can get if you don't boot them up the hole enough. So I suggest excessive use of the boot probably helps solve that problem. Hamza Yusuf. It's a great prize for him to be the next Scottish foreign minister. Hamza Yusuf. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all the characters in the Scottish in the Scottish political scene. And obviously, I've known Sturgeon, and it's like I just Scotland is not a place that comes on my radar too often. Although they do have some, Scotland is very, very famous, like a very, very highly educated people, and it's been the source of many innovations in human history, like especially in the industrial era. A lot of the great inventors come out of Scotland. So um, it's a much overlooked place, I think, at times. So, but anyway, it's like, but Scottish politics is. It's just something that I just don't follow. It just, although, like, with all this transgender stuff coming up recently, and it did come on my radar because, but to be honest, like, most of us we're dealing with it in our own countries. So it's hard to be watching it in all the countries, and you can just get fucking transgendered out at time. I do find. But I do have an interesting story to follow on from that Nicola Sturgeon story. Is like, but I'm pretty sure the people in Scotland are glad the cunt is gone. Hey, you, Tricia. Hey, you, Spanish. These feckers again, indeed. Hey, you, Stewie. James Stone. Hey, you. Did I miss anyone? So, for those of you joining in, you're probably wondering where the fuck is Jay. And Jay's off sick, called in sick there earlier on. So he'll be back when he's back. So just feeling a little bit under the weather. Now, I would also like to thank everybody who subscribed to the Rumble channel. I had a quick check on it earlier on. And we have reached the magic 25, right? We have reached the magic 25, which is really great. So that means that we can now start streaming on Rumble now as well too. So that's great. That's great. Thanks to everybody who gave us a little sub. And if you haven't subscribed to the Rumble channel, especially for people who are listening afterwards, down below in this description here, never mind the like, never mind the subscribe, because you're obviously already subscribed, and don't bother liking this because, look, we don't want any cunt finding us. Below that in the description, you will find the link to the Rumble channel, and if you can find it in your heart to give it a bit of a sub, because I have a funny feeling we may well be utilizing that channel in the not too distant future. But at the moment, like, we're sticking to the YouTube, and YouTube's not going anywhere because look at YouTube's grand. YouTube is all right. It's just the problem with YouTube is there's just a few topics that you can't really discuss like the way you might like. So Rumble just gives us a little bit of flexibility even though I don't 100% trust it, like, but I know a lot of YouTube channels who have been severely disabled by YouTube seem to be doing fine over in Rumble. So it'd be no harm to give it a chance anyway. And out of all the places, like Rumble just seems to be the best and the most stable. So when Jay gets back to us, like he might get that set up, and we could be streaming from there next week. Who knows? It'd be great. So thanks again, everybody who got us to the 25. Brilliant. Fair play to you. Much appreciated. So everybody's still saying hello to each other in the chat here, and I'm not quite sure where to start now tonight, because I did talked a little bit about the Nicola Sturgeon business, but a little story did come on my radar there, which is it's not directly related to Nicola Sturgeon, but it's kind of like, because of the Sturgeon policies that she was attempting to bring in, could possibly lead to quite a dangerous situation in women's prisons, for example, right? Because obviously, there was a lot of business around a particular case that was going on, where some rapist had been declaring as transgender in this bid to get into the women's prison, of course. And I don't like the sound of this, because this seems to be a tactic that I see being used quite a lot, where all of a sudden you've got all these fucking crazy prisoners, and they now identify as women, and they want to be transferred into women's prisons. He says, what the fuck? These are just sick fucking cunts, man. They should be just in solitary. Never mind moving them to fucking cushy women's prisons where they might be, where vulnerable women might be exposed to them. This just seems like a no-brainer. You got criminals identifying as women, and we're supposed to trust the criminal and 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 take their word. I certainly wouldn't. If I know someone's a fucking criminal and that's it, and there'll be no trust. There'll be no fucking trust. 100% no trust. No way. I ain't gonna be listening to you. I won't be believing a fucking goddamn word you're saying, right? And and I have a bad feeling that a lot of these rapists and abusers and pedos that are now identifying as trans, it could be double-edged, right? Part of trying to get out of the male prisons might be to protect their own sorry fucking asses, right? Because the longer you would stay in a male prison, the more likely it is you'll be identified for what you are, and you might end up with a cup of hot oil thrown in your face, or a makeshift fucking dagger inserted up your fucking anus. So there's part of me thinks that part of the reason a lot of these fucking crazy cunts are trying to get out of the male prisons and identifying as transgenders is to escape that possibility, because to be better able to defend themselves in a female prison, being stronger and more bullyish than, although there's a lot of women fairly well able to take care of themselves and all like that, but that wouldn't be all of them, but so that's part of what I think about this push, this plague of cunts in prison starting to identify as transgenders, they're trying to escape retribution. But then there's the other side of it too, perhaps that they're thinking that okay, right, well, I can use this system now to get myself nearer to my prey, especially if they're a rapist or something like that. And it would be an opportunity. I would see it that they'd be using it as an opportunity to get themselves and insert themselves closer to people that they can actually prey on, possibly rape, We hear this shit over and fucking over again. Stewie say, I'm inclined to forgive any crimes if it results in babies. I don't know how to take that. I don't know how to take that. Maybe that's talking about some. Maybe he's having a conversation with somebody else about something completely different than what I'm talking about. I don't know. But what I do want to talk about though is one particular story. I'm going to I'll pause the chat there just slightly, and because I want to move over to my notes section, and so I won't be seeing the chat for a couple of minutes, like so. But I'll throw it up anyway so that you can follow along. I haven't tried out. I don't know if you guys can read this, so you might be able to follow along. I don't know if you can increase the font size, but anyway, this is a story, right, about a Canadian man who was convicted of a horrific rape of a 3-month-old infant boy. And he's begun identifying as a transgender while incarcerated and is currently being held in a women's correctional facility with a mother and child unit, right? Now, in 1997, this thing, Adam Laboucan, sexually assaulted a 3-month-old baby boy in Quesnel, British Columbia. Laboucan was 15 years old at the time, granted young, but and had been hired to babysit a child. The infant was so brutally injured by the attack that he had to be flown to Vancouver, 410 miles away, to undergo reconstructive surgery. So, after committing the horrific assault, Laboucan mutilated himself and ate his own flesh, according to certain news reports, which they have cited here. They've cited TorontoSun.com. So, according to a 1999 news report by the CBC, clinical psychologist Dr. Dave Sigmund testified in court that when he examined Laboucan in 1997, the teen had also admitted to drowning a 3-year-old boy in Quesnel in 1993. Laboucan was 11 when he allegedly committed the killing, and no charges were ever lodged against him because under the law, an accused must be at least 12 years old. Due to the horrific nature of the crime, Laboucan was handed a rare intermediate prison sentence in 1999 at the age of 17 and was declared the nation's youngest criminally violent sex offender. But despite the violent and sexual nature of his crimes, Laboucan is now identifying as a woman and has been transferred to the Fraser Valley Institution for Women in Abbotsford. Fraser Valley Institution for Women features a minimum security annex that hosts a program for incarcerated mothers and their babies. The mother-child program takes place in a house comprised of facilities such as a shared kitchen, lounge, bathroom, as well as multiple bedrooms. It is situated within a compound of similar housing units, much like a neighborhood. Other inmates who are not mothers themselves may be permitted to stay with the mother and child and can even apply to serve as babysitters or aunties, though they may be subjected to risk assessment, the National Post report revealed. Now, in 2019, a sexual assault report was filed against him by a female inmate, but no charges were pursued. The same year, the former Deputy Commissioner for Women, Kelly Blanchette, revealed that all of the requests for men to transfer into women's prisons, half of them were convicted sex offenders. Isn't that interesting? That's quite a high proportion. Mason shared with Redux exchanges she'd had with women being held in Fraser Valley. One inmate confirmed that Laboucan was being housed in a unit next to the mother and child program residence and said that he had been staring at the children to antagonize the women. These accusations of looming around the child program resulted in a dispute in which the trans sex offender picked up and threw a female inmate and charged after her once she was on the ground to continue the assault, the source explained. Luckily, guards intercepted, but they segregated the female inmate for inciting a reaction for confronting this trans inmate sex offender for his actions, she told Mason. A report released by the Correctional Service in 2022 revealed that 82% of gender diverse prisoners in Canada who had a history of sexual offending were men who identified as transgender. Almost all had committed their crimes prior to claiming a transgender status. The overwhelming majority committed offences that caused death or serious harm to their victims, over half of whom were women or children. So, anyway, that's the story I came across today, coming out of Canada, and I just thought it poignant just to add it in here at this particular moment in time. Um, holy shit! I have to pop back and say I'm an amateur at this crack. So anyway, but that was a kind of a shocking story that I did come across, and it kind of highlighted to me how dangerous the Sturgeon plans were. Like, it's not that I hadn't thought about it before, but probably not thought about it enough, and it's a bad idea. This whole thing of, like, if a male prisoner wants to be transitioned into a fucking bitch, fair play, go for it, man. But you stay with the dudes, right? Stay there with the dudes. You can be a bitch for one of them, right? If you want some sexual pleasure, let a big butch called fucking Brutus give it to you up the fucking rear end, like, as much as you want, like, but under no circumstance should these fucking crazy people be allowed into women's prisons. It's it's just, it seems like a no-brainer to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts. Yeah, Kendo. He's either a brave man or a complete idiot for wanting to be in a women's prison with a willy. I'll tell you what. I guarantee you there'll be a few women in there that will fucking chop willies for a fucking pastime. James reckons they agree with them identifying as a woman, but only if they have their Johnsons and Jacobs cut off. Yeah, no, that's a good point, man. Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally news for the bastards. 100%, 100%. I know this dude was only a kid when he started on his rampage of murder and raping 3-year-olds, but still, this never ends well. Like, there's lots of research that goes into, like, um, kids who start off like down a bad path of sort of mutilating and murdering animals, for example. Like, that's usually sort of like a good where it all starts. Like, but obviously we have no evidence that he started off with animals. In this case, he probably just started off on humans. You know, these kind of individuals, they can't be repaired. You can't rehabilitate them. They keep on talking about rehabilitation for this. You can't rehabilitate that. Well, I don't. I'm not a medical expert, right? But I don't believe anything like that can be rehabilitated. You are what you are. Castration, and I don't know, where do you stop? Chop the arms off, chop the leg. I don't know. I don't know where you stop there, but Starfish through all this doom talk. Boo. um, Fucked Up Fridays is Jimmy's signature program. Yeah. Oh well, don't worry. I have a chicken story for you. I might cheer you up, Spanish. I have a wonderful chicken story for you in a while. Doom and gloom followed by misery and torture. And now the weather. Good man, Tony. Yeah, actually, the weather hasn't been. It's been pretty cool, man. It's been nice and mild over here. A little bit sloshy today, but for the most part, it's been lovely and mild here. SW Boxing, welcome to the chat, man. 28 watching this shit, as Jimmy would say. 100%. 20. 27 of them committed suicide and never turned off their PC. Those 27 are what remains of last week's Audi. Oh, there's always a comedian in the fucking house, man. Very good. No, Stewie J is not going to be making an appearance tonight, unfortunately. Well, I don't think so. You wouldn't know. He might surprise us just yet, but he called in sick earlier on, so unfortunately, we're just going to have to manage without, So just Doom tonight, just Doom. Sorry about that. So did I catch up yet? Yes, lots of people agreeing with cutting the Jacobs off and the Johnsons off. Yeah, 100%. GM Jimmy. Yeah, well, according to Din, everything is worse, Tony. I know the last place Dinny would want to go would be into a woman's prison, but to be honest, you got to take Dinny with a pinch of salt, also, James is wondering, when are we moving on to the dark conversations? Shit, man, are we not dark enough already? Fucking hell. So, well, do you know what, Paula? Maybe Tony can assist with that. Maybe Tony can do up an old meme with me with a black cloak on his side. I think he'd done one already, but what's that? I think there was one with. Well, that could have been the Sherlock Holmes one. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. It was kind of like darky, gloomy, but that would be a job for Tony. Anyway, did you hear that the more on a more positive note? Apparently, the WHO, remember that pandemic treaty that they were trying to ram it through and get all the countries of the world to sign up. I have heard from a fairly reliable source that deal is off the table. So a little bit of positivity. You know what? Maybe I should actually play that for you, because I think it's safe to play. I don't think there's any mention of treatments or anything like that. I'll just have to. I wasn't expecting to play any audio tonight, but perhaps we can organize that. And but question is, where the fuck was it? I think I did save it. I actually did save it somewhere. Rumble.com. This was coming from a senator over in Australia, and
this week.
Okay, so that's going okay. I need to give it a bit more volume and share the screen with you. Screenshot, browser.
Represents a rare victory for Australian sovereignty. A victory for common sense, decency, and humanity. and a victory against the sprawling monster of unelected, unaccountable foreign bureaucrats at the United Nations World Health Organization. You'll recall the World Health Organization proposed to change their health regulations that guide member states in the event of a disease outbreak like COVID, from guiding member states to being mandatory on member states, including Australia. This would have represented a complete destruction of Australian sovereignty and a fundamental reimagining of the powers of the World Health Organization. Last December, the Liberal National Morrison-Joyce government voted in favour of these changes, yet many sensible countries voted against, and the proposal was lost. Undaunted, the United Nations World Health Organization tried again this year. After months of heavy criticism, one nation and those opposing these measures have had a huge win. The final report from the International Health Regulations Review Committee, released this week, has dropped the proposed changes. The United Nations World Health Organization will remain an advisory body. Dystopian demands, such as allowing the World Health Organization to make binding health orders, overriding state and federal control, have been tossed out. This includes the proposed powers that would have allowed the World Health Organization to control systems for proof of vaccination or vaccination status, quarantine procedures, citizen travel and mobility, forced vaccination, lockouts, lockdowns, mandatory detention, and other completely unacceptable infringements on people. Gone is the universal health passport or vaccine passport that was going to control the ability of citizens to travel between countries in a permanent capacity. It was decided that this would raise ethical and discriminatory concerns. A global digital vaccine passport will no longer be developed under the committee's powers for now. The committee will remain confined to actual public health emergencies rather than potential health risks undefined, removing the widely held fear that their scope could be extended to climate lockdowns and other human rights abuses, which would have been possible because the United Nations World Health Organization had proposed to remove human rights completely from the regulations. After a backlash, the committee now strongly recommends the retention of the existing text, which is, quote, full respect for the dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons as an overarching principle. This is a critical backdown. The World Health Organization committee working on these changes has just recommitted to its fundamental human rights pledge in defiance of the proposed amendments. The findings of the committee agreed with the concerns that One Nation raised regarding threats to sovereignty. In their final report, the committee said it was, quote, concerned that the proposals may unduly impinge on the sovereignty of state parties and make recommendations binding instead of voluntary. In the end, the committee validated the fears raised on the international stage and within what's left of the free press. Fears I raised and for which I was called a conspiracy theorist. I was correct. Their decision to throw out this attempt to grab power from sovereign governments is a crucial first step in stopping unelected global bureaucracies from overstepping their purpose. Pauline Hanson first raised the United Nations treasonous work in Parliament in 1996, 27 years ago. In my first Senate speech in 2016, I called for Australia to exit the United Nations, Auxexit. We've been so strongly outspoken against ceding Australian sovereignty to the unhinged United Nations World Economic Forum alliance that the World Economic Forum recently specifically called us out. We're getting under their skin. This fight is not over. All of the terrifying proposed powers that have been summarily rejected this week are duplicated in the proposed United Nations World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty. The Pandemic Treaty is a second attempt to turn World Health Organization into the World Health Police. The Pandemic Treaty is alive and well, sitting in the system, waiting for our so-called leaders to sign. If the Pandemic Treaty were to be approved, it would enforce all of the binding health powers that others in World Health Organization have just rejected. What a mess. The United Nations World Health Organization is too big, too bureaucratic, too removed from the people it's supposed to help. It's corrupt, incompetent, dishonest, and above all else, too close to the big pharmaceutical industry. The next step to protect Australia's health sovereignty is to make sure that the Pandemic Treaty is completely rejected and that the Prime Minister does not sign it. For concerned Australians who have written to their members of Parliament and who received a stock reply saying the treaty has to go through Parliament first, that's actually not true. The World Health Organization pandemic treaty includes a provision that it becomes binding on Australia the moment our World Health Organization representative signs it. No parliamentary oversight required. Well, screw that. One Nation's work continues.
Authorised, Malcolm Roberts, Brisbane.
Right, so that's Malcolm Roberts. So you've probably seen him before. Like, he's been quite outspoken. Hopefully that audio is coming through. Yeah, Kendo, I'm glad you picked up on that too. Persons, I picked up on that as well too. Like, I just thought that was an interesting term that anybody would use in relation to, rather than use the word humans or people, he used persons. Very, very interesting. Not sure what I made of that, like, but anyway, who says the raccoons are doom and gloom, right? No, that's not true. It's all lies. Bloody conspiracy theory. For fuck's sake, get a grip, people. But yeah, Malcolm Roberts, like, he's been very, very outspoken. He's actually been very, very outspoken right from the very beginning, like, and he has been very, very vocal in it's the Senate in Australia where he is, or their equivalent to the Senate, or would maybe the equivalent of the House of Lords in England. But he's made some really, really powerful speeches, and he's been on some committees, and he's been asking all the right questions and poking the right bears. And so, as you say, like, this is not over yet. This is not over yet by a long shot. Like, I think we're in this war for the long haul. It would not surprise me if this war carries on for 10 or 20 years, to be honest. And the way it's shaping up, like, Spanish hasn't laughed yet. Well, somehow, Spanish, that doesn't surprise me. I doubt you've laughed all your life, man. It's like, fuck's sake. Yeah, Kendo, persons is a legalese piece of nonsense. Yeah, well, yeah, no, you're dead right. You're dead right. It is legalese, like, but I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt, But then again, he would be a senator, but he should be quite well aware of legalese and what words mean. And yeah, Spanish, I'm sure you do be laughing, like, when you're up to your neck in Mrs. Johnson's fucking shithole, trying to unplug her U joint or her U bend. I'm pretty sure that's a fucking laugh, man. Good night, James. Sweet dreams. If that's where you're going, who knows? He could be up to no good and sneaking off to the pub for all we know. Oh, Spanish is on form tonight. But yeah, anyway, I just thought that was just came across that there 2 days ago, and I thought that was interesting. Something positive, like, as in this crazy fucking world, man. I'll take any bit of good news that comes, like, because pretty much everything is fairly doom and gloom, right? Everything, nearly practically everything is doom and gloom. So so any bit of positivity at all, and we also have to be aware too that they're going to inject a little bit of positivity from time to time just to keep your hopes up. That's always actually one of the things we have to keep in mind, that it could all be just deploy, just we got to throw them a bone here or there, and just just so that we don't drive them all to suicide until we achieve our goals, like, so, because obviously that they're going to need X amount of human beings after they finish their terraforming of Earth, because clearly that's the fucking goal here. Give me a moment, guys. I'm just going to go check my fire and make sure it's still going, because it does get cold here at night. And give me a moment. Oh, that was a good idea. It was nearly out. Holy shit. Wouldn't do. Have to be lighting it for a second time after the show, but does Jimmy live in the Second War pillbox? Um, well, technically, I suppose I do in a sense. I'm here on the planet at this particular moment in time, and we would appear to be in a global war. I don't know if anybody else sees it that way. Like, I see a global war going on, and it's pretty clear what's happening. Like, uh, with everything that's going on, like all the rhetoric. I know a lot of it just seems nonsensical, stupid, and ridiculous. Like, but I assure you, it's quite real. Like, these tensions between Russia, America, China, America, Russia, Ukraine, Poland, Russia, Poland, Ukraine. It's Germany, America. It's like you can't take all these things in isolation, and clearly a global war is broken out. And, and obviously they've released a nasty man-made pathogen. That's obvious to me. I know people here, some people don't believe that there's such thing as a scary virus, right? But I have to say, like, after what I've seen, after what I've read, no, there's a nasty thing that they've created, and it's obviously made a lot of people very, very sick, whatever the fuck it is. I know it's not as widespread as they would have us believe, like, but clearly certain places did get affected, like, so obviously they've got something, they've released something, and they're threatening all the time. Like, I mean, you've got the likes of your Bill Gates. He's coming up now with his next warning, which is going to be the next one, Marburg, and and the strange thing about Marburg is it's not really that scary. Like, I mean, it's nasty if you get it, like, but at the same time, it doesn't spread very easily. So I'm not sure why they'd use that. Like, if you were going to create a panic, or you wanted to create a panic, you'd use something scary like Ebola. Like, the imagery Ebola evokes is like, that's scary, right? Everybody'd be scared of Ebola if it was going around. But Marburg, not so, like, because it's just not that transmissible unless it's been altered slightly, like they did with the with the CV with the CV19. So yeah, no, there's been a shot across the bow, and it's a very, very odd war. I never thought we'd see it. Like, I thought I might get through my life without actually seeing this shit go down. We've had relative peace on this planet for a very, very long time. It's just odd to see it break out now, but we're here to witness it now. So, all right, Tony. See you later. So, what else has been going on news-wise? Um, yeah, I wanted to revisit this Romanian senator, right? It's fascinating. I was totally fascinated by what she had to say, right? It was this Romanian parliamentarian, this Senator Diana Lovanovici, and she lambasted the globalists for their role in the genocidal plot, utilizing an alleged pandemic and so-called death prods. I'll just call them that. And she blamed the West for using geological weapons to cause an earthquake in Turkey. And she's quoted here saying, "It's very clear to me that at this point, things at the international level have gotten out of hand. The fools are playing as God and they think they have won the game. Because of these demented and psychopathic people who cause wars and cataclysms using unconventional weapons, we humans are just numbers they can get rid of." So I'll just read the transcript of this because I don't know if anybody has actually seen the video. The video, it was good. I wasn't sure what to think of it at first. I really wasn't sure what to make of that video at first. Because I'm kind of always wary about stuff that comes out on video and subtitles. But like because the mainstream media are kind of rolling with this now, like they're picking up on this story, it's very, very odd. So I'll continue. I'll just read the transcript. It's not that long really, but so for 3 years we have been experiencing a real campaign of mass killing worldwide, either through alleged scamdemics and the immediate need to prod untested treatments that kill people, or through wars that reduce the world's population but rearrange international politics, realigns power poles, and alters borders. We have lived to witness the production of earthquakes on command, which is actually an attack on Turkey by the greatest of the world, who totally dislike being set off by Erdogan, the Turkish president. Moreover, his position of neutrality and mediator in Ukraine-Russia war deeply disturbed them, especially since Turkey is the second great power from a military point of view within NATO. His position to block Sweden's accession to NATO, his speech in Davos, as well as the gesture of leaving in the middle of the press conference defying Schwab, did not remain without an echo in the cold world of leaders of the world, I suppose. That's what they're trying to say there. But no one thought that the people would have to die, so many people, and in such a terrible way. And it's just a warning, because it wasn't the most populated area of Turkey. 150 aftershocks of a devastating earthquake, the second larger than the first, without the existence of an epicenter. And that's interesting because by all accounts, that's what I thought. That was what I took out of most of the reporting, that there was no epicenter to the earthquake. I'll continue on with her quote here. The area being artificially stimulated, geological weapons have existed for a very long time, been used so far without causing too many casualties, probably for experiments. Now it has been put into practice. If we look carefully at the map of Turkey, we will see that it is furrowed by gas and oil pipelines, this being actually one of their goals, their destruction. But 10 seconds before the occurrence of the so-called quake, the Turks closed these pipelines. In addition, 24 hours before the earthquake, 10 countries withdrew their ambassadors from Turkey 5 days before its occurrence. The Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a travel warning for Romanian citizens in Turkey, although there was no danger, as did other countries. By killing people that served their interest, the maps shown on the television channel show that there was no epicenter, but a line with thousands of earthquakes. The Turkish Secret Service are investigating a possible criminal intervention, and in brackets here reading an involvement of another state in triggering the first earthquake. What followed later being the chain reaction after the destabilization of the tectonic plates in the region. It is very clear that President Erdogan was punished for his courage, dignity and honor, and for his closeness to the Russian Federation. In fact, the position of neutrality and mediation for peace, in addition, it is desired to divert people's attention from Ukraine, where representatives of many countries have already begun to shout against the despotism and orders given by President Zelensky as if he is ruling the world and someone is obliged to send weapons and participate in his war. In a war where he sacrificed his own people to destroy the entire country, anyone who speaks out peace is put to the pole of infamy and attacked from all sides. This is what happened in Romania, where I started the unique initiative Neutrality for Romania. The piece from Bucharest, they all rushed at me, although now, after 1 year of war, almost all of them say everything I said and supported from the beginning, claiming now they are the owners of these ideas. She calls them plagiarists, Pharisees, Judas. Because of you, people have died and continue to die. You all have hands stained with blood of millions of people, killed for the interests of some madmen who wish to rule the world. Unfortunately, at the Romanian leadership level, we only have incompetents, idiots, plagiarists, thieves, robbers, criminals, cowards, traitors, and the list goes on. These incompetents, awarded by foreign countries for special merits in their support, but at the expense of Romania, are trying at this moment to turn Romania from a neutral, sovereign state into a servile and offensive state, through which some great powers can exercise their warlike actions, and to turn Romanians into cannon fodder for the benefit of others. She goes on to say, Judas, we will stop you at any risk and at any cost. Leave Romania to be sovereign and neutral. We are not interested in anyone's wars. We have always defended our nation and land, and we have not attacked anyone. You should know we have always been in the losing camp, even when the camp won. We have always paid. Enough. Stop here. Romania will keep its neutrality, no matter what you promise to others, you traitors. We have an obligation to keep good neighborhood relations in the region, whatever others ask you. If you are not able to defend our peace, and you are not, then leave, or we will take you down. It is very clear to me at this point things at the international level have gotten out of hand. The fools are playing as God, and they think they have won the game. Because of these demented and psychopathic people who cause wars and cataclysm using unconventional weapons, we humans are just numbers they can get rid of. It is imperative that all nations and peoples of the world rise up together, wake up from daily comfort and carelessness, and just like in 1848, will begin to struggle for liberation from the yoke of psychopaths, the demented people who steal our happiness and the beautiful world in which we live. That is why I urge you, all of you who still want to live in the world of God and not of Satan, I urge you to rise up to fight, to a world revolt, to free us all, and to destroy these enemies, because in this moment we are in legitimate defense. So, and she finishes up here, take the claws off Turkey, take the claws off Romania, take the claws off God's people, warning to the psychopaths of the world, if you need people to die, we need you to perish too. It's all or nothing, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Talien's law. I'd never heard of Talien's law before. So that was the Romanian senator there. And I don't know if anybody had seen that video, but it was very, very interesting, I have to say. Very, very interesting. And like I said, I didn't know how to take it at first, because I've come to be very, very distrustful of a lot of things that I see online, and I just have to be so careful these days. But now that the mainstream is kind of rolling with this, like, it looks like if this was the first use of a geological weapon, and I mean, we've known they existed, like, we've known for a very, very long time they've existed. Like, it's just that it's not, this could be the first time that like they're showing the public that, yes, this is what we've got. I don't know if you remember back a little short while ago, Trump was being interviewed on some station somewhere anyway, and he was talking about how we rebuilt the American military, and he's made it better than it ever was before. And we have new weapons, he said, and weapons that no one has seen yet. So is this a shot across the bow? Is this like the first use of the weapon Trump was talking about? Or one of the weapons? Because he did say weapons. I have a feeling we're going to see some new technology coming out very, very shortly. And I think we're already seeing it, but I think it's going to be in our faces now fairly, very soon, because it's odd, man. This whole war business is just very, very odd. Like, you got like it doesn't matter where you go on social media. It's like it's all like all you hear is NATO is fucked. NATO is out of ammunition. NATO can't fucking fix their tanks. NATO can't do this. And but Russia is perfect. Russia's winning. Russia's winning. It's like that's like a general warning sign to me anyway, that like the story, there's something wrong with the story, because NATO just doesn't get suddenly weak overnight. That doesn't happen, it really doesn't. It's like once a world power, always a world power. Like, I mean, when the Soviet Union collapsed, like just because they collapsed didn't make them any less of a superpower. They still have all their weapons, and they still have as much pull in the world as they ever did, like, and probably more now, probably even more so now, so even though they collapsed, like, they still retain their superpower status. So, all these, I'm looking at them and I just think fucking idiots. Like, the likes of your Durans and your Brian Berletics and your Gonzalo Lears, your Scott Ritters, your Colonel Doug McGregors, and they're just pushing this bloody narrative like NATO can't win, NATO can't win, NATO incompetent, Russia great, Russia amazing, Russia going to win. There's something wrong with that fucking narrative, like, because the superpower just doesn't become not a superpower over fucking night. It doesn't happen. And it's not about money. Money is irrelevant, like, at the end of the day. So, and also, because we've also seen like Poland, like they have conscripted 200,000 soldiers, and I don't know what's going on in Poland. It is very, very odd, right? Very, very odd what's going on in Poland. They've got 200,000 troops ready to roll now at the moment, and the thinking up till now was that Poland are going to annex part of the west of Ukraine that used to be their land. But I was reading a post there from it was a Russian channel I follow on Telegram today, and they posted the idea that what if Poland sides with Russia? And I says, holy shit, man, you know what? I would not rule that out. I really would not fucking rule that. I'd never thought about that before. What if those troops are not really there to fight on NATO's side? But could that be the twist and the turn that we've been waiting for? Some twist in the narrative, some twist in the storyline. What if Poland actually decided to side with Russia? That would be fucking a mad turnout for the Bucks. But that would be weird, man. That would be fucking weird. But anyway, obviously we can speculate about it all we like, and it won't make it any fucking realer or anything. But I just found it an interesting thought. And what did we get from Lukashenko earlier on? We got an interesting quote from Lukashenko, and let's see if I can get it out. Yeah. Lukashenko considers unification with Russia the best option for Europe. The Belarusian leader noted that Americans and Chinese would envy this alliance. President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, considers unification with Russia the best option for Europe. He said this on Thursday at a meeting with representatives of the foreign and national media. The best option for Europeans is to unite with Russia. Here we have resources, there is high technologies, and it would be the main pole of the planet. The Beta news agency quotes him as saying. So, according to the Belarusian president, Americans and Chinese would envy this alliance, and there would be three powerful points on which our planet would be held: the USA, China, and the European continent, together with Russia. Consider it Eurasia, he continues, or Lukashenko explained. Perhaps a fourth pole would have been formed around India, or India and others would have joined these poles. It would be worthy for the planet, the Belarusian leader is sure. Earlier, Lukashenko reportedly stated that the world that was on a planetary scale will not exist today or tomorrow, as the new global players have appeared who want multipolarity, among them the president of Belarus, called China, India, and Russia. So here again, like that's more hints of this Mackinder World Island, more hints of this Eurasian landmass. This is it's becoming clear to me now that this is the end game, which is the Klaus Schwab idea, the WEF idea, this multipolar world, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to have anything got to do with that world. And I know Russia are being portrayed as the good guys, and China are being portrayed as really good and progressive and the model for the world. But I don't like the sound of it. I really don't like the sound of that. That world doesn't sound appealing to me at all. Okay, I seen an odd video the other day of a city in China where they got metal swing gates, and you need an ID to get in and out. You can't enter or leave the city without your ID and stuff like that. So I think you're already seeing the hints of like what might be coming over in England there with these 15-minute cities. Like, you know, you get locked down, and this is obviously the key plan here, and this is their multipolar world that they want to create. And I don't know. I don't like the sound of it at all. Yeah, John, Poland would never join Russia. They hate them with a passion. Yeah, yeah, I know. I know there's a lot of hatred there. I know there's a lot of hatred there. But I just thought it was an interesting comment from a Russian channel that I'd seen earlier on today, and because I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the hell Poland was doing, like amassing such large numbers. Um, the only thing that I could think of really was that they wanted to retake that part of Ukraine, which was historically theirs, which was called Galicia, isn't it? Galicia, in around Lvov or Lviv. That's what I was thinking that they would do, like, you know, but and I just couldn't for the life of me think that they do that because, you know, they could end up in a confrontation with Russia because Russia's goal seems to be denazification of Ukraine. So clearly, like, it seems to me that like they won't be happy until they've wiped out the whole of the Ukrainian army. That means even if they are west of Dnieper, they will totally declaw them if they get a chance. So it just didn't seem logical to me that like the Poles would go in there, even though there was hints that like maybe Russia might be open to the idea of Poland annexing that part of the world. We'll see what happens. We'll actually see what happens. But I just thought it was an interesting post earlier on today. Stewie, the Poles hate every cunt. I don't know actually. Could be. I know a few Poles. Quite nice people actually. I got along with them anyway. And there's a Pole. There's a Pole that I do drink with the odd time here in town. Whenever I do go to a pub, he's a nice chap. Like, you know, he's easy to talk to, and he's really happy here in Ireland. Like, you know, and he doesn't like Poland. He thinks Poland is an awful place to live. Like, you know, he thinks it's. I was complaining to him about fucking the bureaucracy in the EU. Like, he says, You ain't seen no. You come to Poland, you see bureaucracy, and it's like, holy shit, is it that bad over there? Holy fuck. But anyway, he's very, very happy to be here in Ireland, and I know loads of Poles here, and good people, good people. I didn't get a sense that they hated us Irish anyway, but I know they have grievances with the Germans. But there's historic reasons for that, and that road cuts both ways, because there's also a part of Poland which was historically Germany, and there's been talk over the last year or so that Germany might have eyes on getting that back. So it's a very, very this war front is very, very turbulent, and you wouldn't know what way it would go, because if you look at any of the wars in history, it's like allies can turn on each other at a moment's notice. You never know what the fuck is going to happen. So that's why when I was thinking today, when I was reading that post about Poland and a possible alliance with Russia, and I says, do you know what? Nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me, because if the battle is indeed for Eurasia and control of Eurasia, and Germany for some reason is out of the running because America won't allow it, because they've been attacked by America. America has taken out their infrastructure, and Germany is just going on like they've been put in their place now. So I wonder, is it beyond the possibility that Poland might vie for an opportunity for a role in the control of the Eurasian landmass? Because we don't know where Russia is going to stop with this war. We honestly don't know. It's like, is it likely to stop in Ukraine? I don't know. I really don't know. It might not. It could actually spread further, because how far of a jump is it, like denazification of Ukraine? How far is a jump is it to denazification of Europe, to where all the people who are funding the so-called Nazis? But that doesn't mean that I'm still open to the idea that Russia actually created the whole problem in Ukraine in the first place. That's not beyond the realm of possibility at all. I'm always keeping a part of my mind open to that possibility, because you just don't know. Like when the world is as crazy as this, so many moving parts, you don't know who's who. You don't know who's done what. We never do. We never do. It's like it's the same with all the political movements here in Ireland. I don't trust any of the cunts. I really don't. It's like I don't trust the left. I don't trust the right, and I just want them all just to fuck off and leave me alone. Unless you're bullshit. I mean, I went on to a radio show there about 2 weeks ago, James Collins Ireland, with the intention of highlighting the case about Gareth, who was on our show there about a month ago, and I wanted to see if I could sort of like raise a bit of awareness among his channel followers about Garrett's story, and about how he was being treated in the Irish court system and been taken through the legal system, like by the senator here in Ireland, that Micheál Carrigy dude. And do you know what? I left that show thinking, you're no fucking activist, You don't give a fuck. You got somebody being dragged through the fucking courts here in Ireland on trumped up charges for nothing, right? And a wife and a family being fucking discriminated against because they took a stand on mandates and all that bullshit, and just getting this indifferent fucking buzz off the dude, And I'll tell you what, I'm developing a serious dislike for him, and nothing that I can put my finger on. I just got the sense that by his offhanded way, that just the fact that he didn't want to fucking know. And this is a dude that likes to promote he says he promotes Irish issues, and he's pushing these issues of like discrimination in Ireland and the uh, bullshit legalities and the way the legal system has been weaponized against people and all this left right bullshit. Like, and here he is, and he doesn't sound one little bit fucking interested in even making contact with somebody who has taken a stand and is now getting brutalized in the court system. It's just odd, man. I just got a bad feeling about him, and I'm starting to I'm taking a severe dislike to all of these people in that are promoting any issue. Like, you got them on both sides. You got the left promoting one particular side, and like open borders, LGBTQ rights, Ireland for everyone, all this sort of stuff. And then you got the other side, and they're hammering the left with their fucking close the borders and and very aggressive stances on everything, like that the left are trying to promote, kind of like polar opposites. Do you know what? I'm getting a severe dislike for them also. Like, I'm just I feel myself falling out of the left right paradigm really, really fucking sharply, and I don't want to have anything got to do with either side. I'm gone to a stage where I do not give a flying fuck about any of them. I really don't. But anyway, it's kind of like survival instinct, I just can't be dealing with the bullshit anymore, and trying to simplify life as best I can, and life is complicated enough without having to take on board all these other fucking non-issues, man. Who gives a flying fuck about Ukrainian refugees coming in? I don't give a fuck. Let them come in, you know. Let them come in to fuck. I don't give a shit. And to be honest, they're all worried about fucking this replacement fucking theory. I'd be going around fucking. I don't go around all the time outside meeting with people. When I do go around meeting with people, I have to say the people I do meet, they're the thickest, fucking most brain dead cunts you'll ever meet in your goddamn fucking life. And if they have to be replaced, bring it on. I don't give a fuck. Let them replace the fuckers because they're no good. They're no good to anybody because they don't want to fucking know about anything. They don't want to talk about anything that's fucking real or important. They'd rather talk bullshit. Like that owl fellow I was telling you about at the start, man. And I took on my rant and rave about what's happening with all the excess debts. And why does nobody want to fucking talk about that, And no, they just rather talk about bullshit, man. And, fucking hell. Yeah, replace the cunts. I don't give a fuck anymore. I really don't. I'm not really. I'm in the planet, but I'm not of it. Put it that way. I'm a spirit visiting this fucking location, and I'm only here for a short time. I'm not here to give a fuck. Stewie, the war will go on until we erect roadblocks in the West. Yeah, I'd like to know what type of roadblocks they would be. They'd be interesting. What type of roadblocks are we talking about? I mean, we're living in a society which has been captured. Like, it's I don't know. I can't speak for England, of course. I know things are feck all different in England, but in Ireland, we're totally captured. Got fucking communists running the whole fucking shit show. It's always been that way. It's been that way for a very, very long time. And it's not a pretty sight. It's really not a pretty fucking sight, man. Then again, though, if conservatives were in power, it wouldn't be any different, The same bullshit fucking artists, and we, the ordinary people, are always under their fucking boot, one way or the other. So, what would a roadblock look like, a roadblock to me looks like probably a Klaus Schwab Great Reset, maybe, and maybe murder off maybe 90% of the population. That'd be a bit of a roadblock, I'd have to fucking rebuild, because it's definitely going to take something like rebuilding from scratch, like to fix all the damage done. Like, I was thinking about a topic there earlier on, and about like transgenderism. Like it's here in Ireland, the law was changed there recently to allow 16-year-olds to identify as whatever they like, right? And I was thinking about it, like, and I was thinking about like all these kids who are going forward and volunteering to have their dicks chopped off and to have fake willies super glued to their vaginal areas and chop off their breasts in some sort of like kind of like lemming scenario where they all jump over the cliff. Like, and I was just thinking to myself, Jim, do you really give a fuck about them? Do you care that much about them that you want to, that you'd actually become active, like, and start fucking protesting? And I was just thinking to myself, I don't give a flying fuck, man. I really don't. Let them at it. Let them do it. And the reason being, these kids have already been damaged, right? Going back to this case, that transgender who was trying to get into the Canadian prison, right? It's not possible to rehabilitate someone like that, right? He was destructive from he was a child, right? And that's just the way it is. It's not possible to rehabilitate these people. And it's probably the same with these 14, 15, 16-year-olds who want to go down this road of self-mutilation. And when I'm thinking, you can't help these kids. And, it's not out of nastiest, but a time comes when you just have to be realistic about this shit. You can't help these people. You can't help them. The only thing you can really do is to have a kind of a great reset as such, like, and start with the younger children again, and just because all these children are damaged all the way through by a failing system that is dead set on corrupting them and perverting their minds and and turning their minds inside out. There's nothing you can do for these kids. They're already damaged, like, so um I just came to the conclusion today, I don't give a fuck anymore. It's terrible, isn't it? It's a terrible fucking place to be, But to be honest, I don't see any way of fixing this unless you start again from scratch, like, and start with the young children, and that's and then you start with the I think we were chatting about this last week with Jay, like, and I think it's 100% correct. It's the only way to fix this problem is to just forget about the ones that are damaged. Help them if you can, like, try to make them comfortable and as best you can, like, but to fix it, you got to fucking start with the young children, and but there's got to be a serious change in society first, because and we're not there yet. We're not there yet. It's half the fucking more than half, fucking 80% of the population are half fucking asleep, like that old fucking cunt that was talking shite to me there during the fucking week. Fucking brain dead cunts, man. Absolutely brain dead. And they just drive me up the walls. Even trying to talk to them, and but anyway, it is what it fucking is. And I don't know. Who knows? Maybe a fucking great big comet will come tearing through the fucking solar system and actually do the reset first, because that would certainly fucking get us back on track. Good evening, Michael. Anyway, I had this mad story. You've probably seen the thumbnail, right? The chicken. Who you calling chicken? The thumbnail for the show tonight. But anyway, there was a reason for posting that image. Let me get it up. This is my story. This is my funny story for this evening, because I hate being accused of being the prophet of doom. Like, you know, let me see. Where is it gone? Where is it gone? Oh yeah, here it is. Here. It's actually a story out of Ireland, right? And so anyway, it was posted in the dailymail.co.uk. The headline is Father Killed by Chicken. Man found with massive bleeding after being attacked at Ireland home. So, grandfather was killed by his violent chicken that previously attacked a child, an inquest in Ireland has heard. A cancer survivor, his name was Jasper Kraus, who was living near Ballinasloe at the time, was killed on April 28th last year after he was attacked by a Brahma chicken. Right? The 67-year-old Dutchman, formerly from The Hague, Netherlands, suffered a heart attack, right, after the bird drove its spur into his leg, causing him to lose liters of blood. Police officers and his daughter Virginia Guinan found Mr. Kraus lying in a pool of blood from the wound on the back of his leg. His lodger, and he was able to whisper the word rooster as he lost and regained consciousness. So, I don't know why that's in twice. There shouldn't be in twice. So, this is the girl's, his daughter. She had been contacted by her father's lodger, Corey Keefe, who had been living with Mr. Kraus for 2 years and looked after the animals. Mr. O'Keefe had just returned home from a night shift at 8 a.m. Before heading to bed. He fed the animals and greeted Mr. Kraus. Not long after the inquest heard, the tenant was woken by the Dutchman shouting, "Come quick." The lodger performed CPR for 25 minutes on the victim before an ambulance arrived, according to Galway Bow, which is a newspaper over here. Where's that? galwaybow.ie. Giving evidence, he said blood was coming out of Kraus's leg and he had noticed a large wound in the man's calf and scratches on his other leg. He was falling in and out of consciousness. Kraus told his tenant, Rooster, the inquest heard, he eventually lost so much blood that he suffered a heart attack. The cause of death was due to a lethal cardiac arrhythmia in the context of severe coronary arteriotomy and I'm not going to even try to say these words. Some of these medical terms do my nut in. She told the inquest that she followed the trail of blood to Brahma chicken, where she said he had blood on its claws. You know, this almost reads like a comedy skit, doesn't it? The bereaved daughter said she knew it was the culprit because it had previously attacked my daughter, the Irish Mirror said. She told the inquest that she had wanted to get rid of the chicken, but her father, who was the big animal lover, wanted to keep it. My dad protested. He had too big of a heart and didn't want me to get rid of the rooster, so Dad took it instead. The newspaper reported Mr. Kraus, the father of two and grandfather of two, was suffering from other health issues at the time of his death. He was in remission from cancer. Right, so he had been outside visiting the dog's grave when he was attacked. She also used the inquest as an opportunity to warn others of the dangers of owning chickens, even breeds considered safe, such as Brahma. I'd never heard of Brahma chickens, right? Never heard of Brahma chickens. But anyway, I wonder if they're a Spanish chicken, a Spanish variety, maybe. Who knows? I checked out a few pictures of Brahma chickens earlier on, so I do remember seeing them before. But shit. Didn't mean to do that. But what a strange fucking story, man. Killer chickens, right? Killer fucking chickens. Police says there was no foul play. But anyway, I'd never heard of anyone getting killed by a chicken before, you know. I mean, it could only happen in Ireland, right? It could only happen in Ireland. At the end of the day, I could just imagine like the Irish police sort of arresting the chicken and bringing it in for questioning and stuff. We'll be asked afterwards by reporters, "What did the chicken say?" The officer would probably there and say, "All he said was." For fuck's sake. But anyway, mad chicken story. Anyone ever heard of any crazy chicken stories like that? Because I haven't. Like, get speared by a chicken. Holy fuck. Poor Dutchman. Yeah, Michael, no foul play. Proper clucked. Hey, you, Roberto. I didn't say hello to you. The bird is the word. Did I miss anybody in the chat? Sometimes I do miss people. I'm just not totally used to keeping up with the chat, like, but I'll tell you, like, I didn't know what to think about that fucking story earlier, man. It was it just seemed like a skit. It seemed like a fucking skit. It could only happen in Ireland. I swear to God. It could only happen in Ireland. Ballinasloe of all places. Holy shit. So, I'm not 100% sure what else has been going on in the world. Like, yeah, we've had a few interesting deaths, I suppose, during the week. We had in Canada, there's been 5 children who died suddenly in their sleep. Bruce Willis, of course, if you haven't heard, Bruce Willis, his condition has deteriorated, and Emma Hemming Willis, the wife of Bruce Willis, announced that the actor had been diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, and his condition had worsened since the family disclosed his aphasia diagnosis last year. So that happened last year. So a neurological condition, which possibly started last year. I don't know when it first started, like, you know, but obviously it might be fairly recent. We also had a 21-year-old Jackson State football player resuscitated after a cardiac arrest. Kasim Valls, a defensive lineman for Jackson State, went to the University of Mississippi Medical Center on Tuesday night with a stomach pain, and on Wednesday morning he suffered a cardiac arrest and had to be placed on a ventilator. That reminds me, I have an uncle of mine who's up on a ventilator at the moment as well too. He got a rapid onset cancer there only recently. Fairly healthy man. So seems to be a lot of that going on at the moment. And also in the last few hours was a 12-year-old football player dying suddenly after collapsing on the fields. A young man called Elijah Jordan Brown Garcia. He died after collapsing at the football practice on Friday, February 10th. He was just turned 12 2 months ago. He passed out without warning. And they done CPR on him on the pitch. They're saying he didn't get hit or anything. There was no contact, and he was just doing some rounds doing some lengths of the pitch, I think. And next thing, he went down. And then there's this strange story as well too. This is very odd. This is in North Carolina. Let me see if I share this, because this seems like a kind of one of those that just sticks out a bit. A graduate student discovered dead in North Carolina State University campus. Student found dead from Kings Village apartment was on campus housing complex for graduate students and staff who wish to live with their families, according to college officials. The student identity and cause of death not been disclosed. North Carolina police have ruled out suicide and foul play, and they're waiting on the autopsy. According to reports, this is the 7th incident of a student who died at North Carolina State University this academic year. So that's seven young students this year alone. What date is this? Hold on, what date is this? February the 10th. So this year, in the last month and a half, this academic year, that wouldn't. Holy shit. Your thoughts on that? Like, I don't know much about America, about the academic year. So I think normally here in Ireland, the academic year would begin so it would be since last September. Maybe it's September. So in the last 6 or 7 months then. So, but anyway, I thought that was a curious story. Seven students in one college campus. That's pretty shocking, really. So obviously, like I'd be watching stories like this. I'd keep them on my radar. I don't try to watch, but every now and again I'll just come across the odd one where there's like if it's school students or football players or maybe a media personality. Who else died? Raquel Welch. Raquel Welch died as well too. I don't think. How you doing, Mahatma? Raquel Welch died too. She was a good age though. I think she was into her. She was in her early 80s, I think so. So anyway, that's a roundup of the obituaries this week. Still nobody that's on our death pool yet, though. So, so that T-shirt is still up for grabs. I'm starting to think we'll never win that T-shirt. I was thinking Amber Heard would go fairly quick, but she's still motoring on anyway. So my chances of winning that T-shirt are pretty low, fairly slim now, I'd say. Unless I take drastic intervention. Now, anything else been going on in this world worth noting? Where is that story now? Got an interesting story out of Russia, actually. It would seem being a top official in Russia could be detrimental to your health. So we have here a high-ranking Russian defense official in the war against Ukraine was found dead Wednesday after falling from a high-rise window in an apartment building. Marina Yankina, 58, was discovered by a passerby at the entrance of the high-rise on Zamshina Street in St. Petersburg. Russian news telegram channel MASH reported she's believed to have fallen 160 feet. Her personal belongings and documents were found on the balcony in the building. According to a preliminary investigation, it is believed Yankina committed suicide. Marsh reported that a few minutes before allegedly taking her own life, she called her ex-husband and told him what she was about to do. And she also asked the man to summon police to the high-rise on Zamshina Street where she lived. Yankina was believed to be a key figure in funding Russian President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Yankina was a key figure in the funding for Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. She was the head of the financial support department of the Ministry of Defense for the Western Military District, which is closely involved in the invasion. Yankin is the latest of many prominent Russian officials and business people who have died under mysterious circumstances since the start of the war this year. And I have to say, that's so true, because that is very, very true. The amount of very, very prominent Russian officials and oligarchs have dropped under suicidal conditions is unreal. Earlier this week, Russian Ministry of the Interior Major General Vladimir Markovov, 72, died of an apparent suicide in a Moscow suburb. Unconfirmed reports alleged that the general had fallen into a deep depression after being sacked by Putin in January. In November, Colonel Vadim Boyko, 44, deputy head of the Makarov Pacific High Naval School in Vladivostok, was found dead from multiple gunshot wounds in what has been described as a suicide. It sounded like one of the Clinton Arkansas suicides, multiple gunshot wounds. Boyko, who played a role in Putin's partial mobilization efforts, executed himself with 5 gunshots to the chest in his commander's office after allegedly being set up to take the fall for some of the problems plaguing the invasion of Ukraine, according to his widow. And in December, sausage tycoon Pavel Antov, who criticized the invasion of Ukraine, plunged to his death from a luxury hotel in India, 3 days after his friend lost his life on the same trip. So, very, very interesting. The suicide deaths of prominent Russian officials continues. And I mean, God, there's been so many this year. Like I think at the beginning of the special military operation, there was a spate of suicides, and some really unusual ones, like officials who would be connected to Gazprom. Like they were dropping left, right, and center. I think one particular case, there was 2 suicide murders in one family. Like a husband and wife allegedly commit suicide. And then father's daughter and her husband. Oh yeah, and that first suicide, the father and the mother and the daughter were suicided, and then on a similar related case, well, what's obviously it was never related, but obviously was related, the other connected parties in a separate incident somewhere in Russia. I think it might have been the daughter of the gentleman who was in the triple suicide. The daughter and her husband suicided themselves as well in Russia. Very, very strange cases. And that's not to include all the crazy deaths of people connected to the crypto industry as well too. It's been a lot, helicopter accidents and so unusual people drowning with their clothes on. And I think I can't remember, there was a story I meant to cover it there back some time ago. He went out online that they were after him, that they were coming to get him, and then he turned up drowned with his clothes on, and he had his wallet and everything on him, and he wasn't robbed but he had put out in some sort of an internet post. I can't remember if it was a tweet or something like that they're coming to get him, the CIA were after him. He was paranoid. You had that one that other crypto tycoon that died in a suspicious helicopter crash there just about 2 months ago in Monaco. It was in Monaco. Very unusual helicopter crash in very, very good conditions, and there was supposed to be another person on the helicopter, and he cancelled at the last minute. So there's so many strange suicides going on since the start of this war. Very high profile people. Do you know what? Sometimes I'm kind of glad that to be just an ordinary Joe. So because the lifespan of these people who have lots of money, and it looks like they don't have very good lives. It looks like a lot of them look, they seem to be an unhappy bunch, right? Put it that way, and a lot of them seem to die in unusual circumstances. And when I was in today, I called in to visit my mum, and she's the devil for watching these court cases on TV, right? There's one channel that's just court 24/7 court cases over in the States, and there was a case on of this chap. He's a Murdo. I think he's Murdo. Apparently, they're a very, very high profile family, very, very rich family in the States. And he's on trial now in the USA. I didn't know anything about it until today. But what he done was he murdered his wife and his daughter, shot them to bits. Like he blew the head off the son and fired 2 rounds into his wife and killed her. And it's like, and these are very, very rich, very, very influential people. And you would imagine, like, if you had the type of luxury that these people have, that you'd be happy. But no, these people are not. These people are not happy at all. Just from a superficial level, me looking at them and just think, these people are really fucked up in the brain. Like, I know I'm fucking a bit fucked up as well too. Like, but thankfully I haven't gone out and murdered. I don't not not while I was conscious, and I haven't murdered anyway. Well, I've been conscious anyway. So who knows? Maybe I might have got up sleepwalking one day and murdered a fucking pile of, who knows? I don't know. But anyway, I can only vouch for the times I was awake. But anyway, no, these people don't look happy at all, and these Russian oligarchs, and there's some sort of a purge going on in Russia. There's something really crazy going on in Russia. I don't think things are going that well for Russia, and despite what all the pro-Russian mouthpieces are saying, "Oh, Russia fucking winning this war," and no, I'm sorry, this is that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Nobody knows what's going on, and the only people that know what's going on are the few who are tightly in the loop and have access to all the information. Everybody else is fucking speculating and buying all the bullshit propaganda that they read from every fucking news source that they can find on the internet. I mean, the goddamn Duran, they're wrecking my fucking brain at the minute. They've gone from what used to be a very, very plausible, very good channel to a bunch of fucking Russian propagandists and pro-Putin warriors, and gone to delivering 24/7 coverage of the fucking war, and in the most boring way possible, like, just bullshit, fucking bullshit. I'm gone completely off the Duran, and I used to love them, and so I don't have any more alt media channels that I can follow anymore. It's like, fucking hell, man. Fuck them all. I'll just go source my own information. Fuck the rest of them, And I know I've gone kind of back to the mainstream media because the alt media just seems to be totally corrupted, like, and you can't get any straight information out of them either. So just as well off just sticking to the mainstream media now these days, and as long as you check a few different sources, you might get fairly close to the truth, whereas if you're dependent on just some of these channels, even though you might be listening to 2 or 3 different alt media channels, they're generally all parroting off the same fucking hymn book these days. And in my mind, the alt media is fucking dead. I think Jay is 100% right. The dead internet is alive and kicking. Did some bigwig supposedly die in the MH? That's MH17, Mahat, I think. Plane crash, or whatever it was called. Do you know what? That's a subject I haven't looked enough into. MH17 was a very, very interesting story around that, and very, very fascinating how that all transpired. I seen recently that there was a court hearing in The Hague, and they did reach a conclusion on the court case. I think they indicted 3 Russian military personnel for being involved in the cause of the crash. So I'm not 100% sure what the story was there. Conflicting reports, I'll put it that way, conflicting reports. Like one side is saying it's the Russians are saying it was the Ukrainians, the usual bullshit. And it's very, very hard to know who to believe. But for sure, like, it would not surprise me if they were trying to, maybe there were some important people on that plane that were trying to take out. It would not surprise me at all, because to be honest, to take down a civilian plane, just there had to have been an ulterior motive for that. Unless, of course, it was a ploy just to get maybe NATO support or European support, or who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll all come out in our lifetimes. Who knows? One thing's for sure, we're not getting the truth at the moment. But anyway, there has been a court case, and we did get a resolution of sort. Although I wouldn't call the Hague Court impartial by any standards. Like, and I don't think any of those Russian military servicemen were at the hearing. I think they were found guilty in absentia. So, can you call that justice, or is that propaganda? I don't know. I'd love to know. I'd love to know more. It might be worth taking another deep dive into that MH17 crash. It's an interesting topic, like, because there was lots of conflicting reports. That there's a lot of evidence that shows that it was the Ukrainians that took it down, especially regarding. There was a few reports coming. I think there was one report from a radar officer, somebody who was working on the radar, who gave evidence that it was a Ukrainian jet that was in the vicinity of the MH17. And there was other reports on the ground as well too, that like there was, oh God, I can't remember all the details. It could have been somebody who was working on the maintenance of the jet that was allegedly involved in the shooting down of that plane. There was lots of reports too about the way the plane had been riddled with holes, and it was taken out with like machine guns, I think. Maybe not a missile, but machine guns. But anyway, at the moment, we still don't know. It's like, it's hard to know what to believe these days. And even though the Hague comes out and says XYZ is guilty, I just find it so hard to trust anything coming from any official body these days. It's like there's so many agendas on the table, and you just have to take everything with a pinch of salt, and just be careful not to believe any fucking bullshit story, no matter how reliable the source may seem to be. That's how I'm dealing with things at the moment. And Michael is saying, you remember they had some sort of scientist on board? Really? Yeah, Mike? I had to say, microbiologists appear to have a penchant for throwing themselves out of windows and off high-rise car parks. I remember a few years back there was a spate of microbiologists winding up in rivers and all sorts of strange places. Yeah, that was many years ago. I was hearing about stuff like that, like, and it seemed quite compelling at the time, even though like I had no reason to. Although, of course, like there was lots of conspiracy theories around it, like, as to why microbiologists would be committing or getting arc-incited, like, but but yeah. Yeah, Mahat, yeah, it's possible that it might have been a total bullshit story, but I tend to believe like that it did happen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it happened. Like, um, just the facts around it will be very, very hazy. And remember the Polish plane that crashed landed in Russia with a lot of Polish politicians on it? Yes, I do, John. Yeah, God, and that's a few years ago now. God, how long ago is that? That's right. I remember that. What the fuck was that? What was? Thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah, that's crazy. And there was a good few Polish politicians on that plane, and I think there was quite a number of deaths on it, if I remember correctly. Because was there any survivors on that particular plane? I don't know. Can't remember. My my Alzheimer's is kicking in these days, so so anyway, we're coming up to the not far from the 2 hour mark, and I might call it quits nearly fairly shortly, like, and tighten up this stream. And but what I'll do probably is I'll get a couple of links up for everybody. The first link I want to get up is the link for the Raccoons Rumble channel, and although we have reached the magic number 25 that we can so we can now start streaming on Rumble for anybody, because I mentioned it earlier on when we opened the stream. So we're at 25 on Rumble now, spot on 25, so we can now start streaming on Rumble. And whether we use it or not now is another thing, but it should be interesting to see if we could integrate it into the channel, and maybe have somewhere to go where we don't have to talk in code or shit like that. So, but we'll see what happens. Like, well, one thing's for sure, we're not going to be leaving YouTube anytime fucking soon. We have no intentions of leaving YouTube. That's going to be a little kind of a safe zone where we can sort of like say, maybe on a particular day, if we have a particular topic that we want to discuss, and we might want to take it off the poo tube and go over there where we might be able to talk a bit fair. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it gets integrated in the future. And first we have to get Jay back. Jay hopefully will be back with us next Tuesday, and we'll get a bit more light-hearted conversation into the mix here, instead of just my old doom saying. Have a peek at Mark Kalutz's research. Who's Satanic Live? He's quite a good digger. Thanks to him, I learned about Alice Moore and Chester Southend. They put Mengele to shame. Oh, that's interesting. I'll check up on all that in just a moment, right? What I'll do is I don't want to run over the 2 hour mark, so I'll throw the link in there for anybody who does want to join in the after chat. I probably won't stay that long myself, but it's there for anybody who wants to join. And thanks for that, Mahat. Tony saying, wasn't there 4 scientists aboard who had a patent with the Rothschild after they died, and the ownership of the patent went to the surviving partner, the Rothschilds? I think this is the same crash. Was that the MH17, Tony? I don't know. But anyway, I'm against the clock here now, and what I'll do is I'll hang up the call there now. You just have the link if you just want to join. Yeah, John, we'd love to move to Odyssey, but Odyssey doesn't work that well for everybody. Odyssey can be very, very finicky. I've noticed it myself. It can be very, very buffering all the time, so it can be problematic for everybody. Rumble is a lot more stable. So, but there is an Odyssey. There is a Raccoons Odyssey channel, I think, anyway. But look, we'll see what we can do. But anyway, I'm against the wall here. It's 15 seconds to go. So thanks for tuning in. We'll chat to you next Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Take care and stay away from those chickens.